Hello and welcome to Valentine Art. Today I'm going to be creating a masculine Valentine's Day card using the Down to Business stamp set by My Favourite Things. I'm going to start today by stamping out my images on some Nina Solar White cardstock with Memento Tuxedo black ink, as I am going to be using Copic to colour the images today. I'm just choosing some of the images that I want to feature on today's card. I'm going for an office geek nerd theme, so I'm just choosing the images that I feel would be suitable for this card. There are some really fun images, and it doesn't need to be for a masculine card. You can use this for any type of card. So I'm going to be colouring today with Copics. I will leave a link to my blog in the description box below, and this will include all the products that I've used in today's video. I'm going to switch on some music while you watch me colour, and I'll be back once I've finished. Once I finished colouring, I then used the coordinating dies to cut them out and ran it through my Big Shot machine, and then you get the really nice white clean edge around that image. Once I've finished cutting all the images that I want on today's card out, I'm then going to start on the panel for the card. I'm using some Bristol Smooth cardstock and cutting a circle from this so I can blend some distress inks, and I used the Lawn Fawn stitched circles for that, using the largest circle. I'm now going to use some distress inks to blend a really nice background. I'm sorry you can't see all the colours on screen, but I'm using Tumbled Glass, Stormy Sky and Chipped Sapphire. So I've started with Tumbled Glass in the centre of that circle. I'm now going to add Stormy Sky around the edges, blending into the centre, and then I'll move on to Chipped Sapphire for the very outside edges. So it will be a dark to light, but from the outside to the middle rather than top to bottom. So I'm just going to blend these really well so that they're nice and smooth. And I do have to say I've recently discovered that Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock or paper, it's quite thick, is brilliant for blending distress inks. It is so smooth and you get such a lovely blend. I would totally recommend to anyone out there to try blending distress inks on Bristol Smooth. I can honestly say I will probably not look back now that I've swapped papers. I will probably still use some watercolour paper to blend on occasionally if I want some texture, but otherwise I am definitely sticking with Bristol Smooth. It's just so much easier and so much nicer. Once I've done this, I'm then going to pull out a piece of pattern paper for the background and trim it down to fit the card. The card that I'm working on today is a 6x6" square card. I can't remember the name of the pad I got this paper from at the minute, but I will include it in the list of supplies on my blog in the description box so you can find it there. And then I'm just going to place where I think I want everything to sit, make sure everything fits where I want it, before I can then place the sentiment. So I'm just playing around with where I think things need to go, making sure there's enough room and it doesn't look too cluttered. And then I'm going to use the Talk Nerdy to Me sentiment from the same stamp set. So I'm prepping my paper with an anti-static bag, and then I'm going to use the Ranger Perfect Medium embossing ink and Paper Mania's copper embossing powder. I thought the copper would tie in really nicely with the orange that I've used in the card, just to be something a little bit different than my usual. So I'm going to ink the sentiment up well and then line it up to fit on those lines on the pattern paper. And the good thing about the anti-static bag is it means that that embossing powder isn't going to go where you don't want it to. It just falls straight off that paper. So I'm just going to heat my heat tool up, and then once it's good and hot, I can then start to melt that embossing powder. Once I've finished embossing the sentiment, I'm then going to start working on adhering the whole card together. I'm going to use some double-sided sticky tape on the back of the pattern paper and adhere this to my card base. So I'm just going to line that up and stick that down. And then once I've done this, I'm then going to add some dimensional foam tape to the back of the stitched circle that we've distress inked. I want this to pop off the page a little bit, so I'm just going to add some dimensional foam tape and then stick that in the middle. And then in the centre of that circle, I'm going to add the shirt with some dimensional foam tape, and then the other elements I'm just going to adhere around that shirt with some double-sided tape. I wanted the main focus of the card to be that circle and all those elements on it, so that's why I'm keeping it within that area. So now that I've stuck everything down, I'm then going to add a final finishing touch to the card using some glossy accent on the buckle of the bag. On the screen of the calculator, and then on the smiley face of the mug. And then it just gives it a little bit of extra shine and something extra to the card, which is fair. It's a fairly simple card, so, and I don't want to add sequins and things as this is intended for a more masculine audience, so adding glossy accents is just a good way to add that something extra. So I hope you liked the card and the video for today. Please give me a like if you did. Please leave me some feedback in the comments below and subscribe to see more, and I'll be back next time with another video. Bye.